I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll note the absence of Paul and Liz, who should be here shortly. Carla has asked to separate the approval of minutes, so we will start with approval of the regular session meeting minutes of October 16th, 2019.
And the amended version of that? There's an
The
amended.
corrected
The
that's
corrected
before you.
is before you.
Yeah.
Need a motion?
I'll motion.
Okay, Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approval of the curriculum committee meeting minutes of October 30th of 2019.
I'll motion it.
Second.
Okay, Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approval of the committee meeting minutes of October 30th, Finance Committee meeting minutes of October 30th, 2019.
I was wondering if on that last line we could put, where Mr. Cox stated a CPI of 1.9%, and then it said the EAV increased 6.3%. I was wondering if we could change that to Mr. Cox projected that the EAV will increase by 6.3%, because I tried to find out how he projected that, and he said he would not provide that information, so as far as I know, it's his projection.
Certainly is.
Okay. So it would say Mr. Cox's projection that the EAV will increase by 6.3% as opposed to the EAV increased 6.3%. It hasn't happened yet. That would be determined in February, March. Anybody have any comments?
Was this related to when you asked for it?
What?
Was this when you asked for him?
Yeah.
This is.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Does anybody have any, are they okay with the
Any
change?
objections to the
Change?
amendment? So I need a motion for approval of the Finance Committee meeting minutes of October 30th of 19.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Goldberg? Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I need approval of the Finance Committee meeting minutes of November 6th of 2019.
It says in there that we had several questions of clarification were addressed to Mr. Cox. I feel like that didn't really kind of give the spirit of the meeting. I felt like we didn't really approve the financial projections. It was just kind of a, if anything, it was a little bit different that we were not completely on board. So I just wanted to say maybe and not approve, not an approval though, or, I don't know, it just sounds like it went fine, but really there was more than several questions of clarification were addressed to Mr. Cox. I felt like it was, but there was no approval, or I didn't want anybody to think that we were recommending anything coming out of that meeting.
Well, it doesn't say that there was a recommendation for that.
Does it say that there was a recommendation from the Finance Committee on the projection?
No, it
For the
doesn't
school,
even
I
say
didn't
that
know.
we were gonna discuss it. Can we add that at least that was gonna be further discussed at the board meeting then? That's what we're gonna be doing today, because I just didn't wanna say that it was all, can we add that then? That was clearly happened. Further discussion at the board meeting?
Does the last sentence suffice for that? The school auditors will attend the regular board meeting and present the audit? Okay.
The last sentence, sorry, and that's something different. Further discussion at the regular board meeting?
So discussion took place, and further discussion would take place at the board meeting regular board meeting,
Right.
November 13th. Certainly.
Any objections to the addition? I need a motion on the amended.
I'll motion it.
Okay, Missouri,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
motion carried.
The approval of the executive session meeting minutes of October 16th, 2019.
Regular session, you said, Larry?
The executive session. Number 5.
I can motion it.
This is Carl and Paul.
That was Carlin.
Okay, Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Need approval of the November 2019 expenses.
Just,
And you have additional.
I have a question. I noticed on, we had the flooring company come in to remove, is it Velcro? I mean, for $4,000.
Where are you at, on the additional? Or the-
No, this is
Regular?
Yeah,
What page?
let me get that, I'm trying to pull it up now. Yes, that was when we had our water event, which the whole town had the water event. So that would be in the first floor of the new addition over the elementary school. So that music room did have carpet. Right. And so we had the carpet removed and tile flooring. And then just a real quick one, we had a late fee on our credit card, $46 or $64.
I'm sorry.
Where you at?
$64, I'm trying to pull it up here.
Yeah, with these late board meetings,
Yeah,
that's what happens.
$64.
Yep. Well, there's a large amount on there, so, yeah, they sock it to us. They do.
Gotcha.
Yep.
You saw it, I never seen that before. in a while.
Yeah, every once in a while they'll show up.
Gotcha.
Make a motion, we approve the 2019 expenses.
So moved.
Okay, Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Why don't we go to you?
I'd like to thank the parents for showing up tonight, the student athletes for showing up tonight, the coaches for showing up tonight to be recognized. We appreciate all your hard work. So first of all, we will start with cross-country. And so Mr. Austin for the girls, Mr. Swanson for the boys. So if you would like to stand up and address us, that would be great. There he is.
So, on our boys team, well, most people, if you're familiar with cross-country beach, we start running in the middle of summer in the 90-degree weather, and it's just so many smiles that we get on those early mornings of practice. Yeah. So, starting from there, this kid comes up to me after the first week and goes, I think I'm gonna try this year. And he just so happened to make it to state, did very well at state, and was actually, I believe, top 50 in the state of Illinois for 2A. So, yeah, he was, I think, 48th is what Grace is telling me. So that's an incredible feat, especially, you know, first year deciding to put in 100% towards it. And I know he's a very talented kid when it comes to school. He also participates in hockey during the cross-country season, which is just phenomenal to see him succeed at all three things at once. That's a hard thing to do, and I'm very proud of him and what he's done specifically in this fall season between school, cross-country, and hockey.
Did you say his name?
Oh, Ethan for Ponce.
I'd like to recognize the girls cross-country team who qualified for state. I told the girls on their second meet of the season that I really saw the potential that we could do something special this year. We continued to make that happen. And so first I'd like to recognize Erilyn Martinez. Not only did Erilyn finish as a medalist at the sectional, she also took 32nd place in the state meet. Erilyn, that's Josh. Erilyn's an eighth grader. Then we have Audrey Falani, who also qualified or medaled during the sectional meet. And she is a sixth grader. Congratulations. Brooklyn Burdick was our third runner, and she is a seventh grader. We have Allison Sadis next. Maddie Ward, sixth grader. Grace Henneberg, who is a seventh grader. The state meet was something we hadn't experienced before. The weather was ridiculous compared to what we had run all season. And when we got down to the state meet in Peoria, it was beautiful, and it was just really ideal weather for our season, or for the race. And every one of our athletes, Ethan included, ran personal best times for, most of them for this, all of them for the season, and most of them for their beacher career. So it's amazing. And just to kind of give you the magnitude of what the race was like, Erilyn finished 32nd, and in less than 9 minutes, we had 107 runners come through before Audrey, our second runner. So they finished about 8 runners per minute the whole time through. So great experience. I'm very proud of the girls, and I've made it through 2 award events where I haven't cried.
Softball, I see Coach Hayhurst. I know Mrs. Packus was helping at our basketball. Is she here? Okay, thank you for hiding behind the books. Ms. Packus and Mr. Shear, so all were great coaches. And so when you're nice pickup, if you want to bring this over tomorrow, you can bring this if you'd like. Or do you want to stand in front of it? Can I put this in front of you? You sure? Thank you.
Again, all the support that we get from these parents have been great, and it's just these kids playing basketball and multi-sports as well, and doing as well as they do in school. It's just amazing the things that these kids could do, and we won a state championship this year, and that's not an easy thing to do, and we only have 3 eighth graders. So I don't know if that puts pressure on me for next year, or puts pressure on you guys again. But I know that they're going to be working very, very hard in the off season. You know, whether it's in 2 sports, 3 sports, whatever you're doing here in Beecher, you have to share athletes and make sure that they're doing things. I think it just shows in academics that when people are involved in athletics, that their grades seem to be better, and they're good leaders and the class leaders in the school. And once again, Mr. Meyer's been great, all kinds of support. He's there, he's in the crowd, he's helping out, and whatever we need, he was there for us. And I'd like to make sure I thank Mrs. Whaling and Mrs. Darling too. They're keeping me afloat with all these different rules we gotta have and all these different things going on, so they do a great job over there. And as well as over here at the high school, this is help for line up the buses, and there's a lot more headaches in there than people know, and all the different flexibility that we need here to get things done, because sometimes there's some snafus that people go through, and so we gotta be a little flexible, don't we, ladies? Yes, but it was worth it, wasn't it? Yes. Okay. Mr. Scheer again was back this year to help me out, and that was very nice of him to support what he gave us with just a volunteer coach coming there and helping every day, and Coach Patkus for all the work that she does, and you know, puts up with me too. So sometimes I'm not the easiest person to be around, and that's why my catcher sometimes catches it a little bit more than others. But she loved me this year, didn't she? Anyhow, I'd like to introduce them to you so that they can go home and get their homework done for tomorrow. I know just about 8 of them got here from basketball, so. But again, it's not easy. You know, we won a 2-1 game in a regional, and the next game was 17 innings. They played 17 innings. It was a 5 o'clock start down in Pontiac. We went down there, you know, after school. We had to get on the bus because it was a long ride, and you know, without eating and all the things that they went through, we didn't get done until 9:30. So they were out there for 4.5 hours, trying to remember how many outs there are in the innings, and just all the different things that go on in the dugout. And so they persevered through a lot of different things, and they're going to do very, very well in the future. We're going to hear a lot more from them. All right, let me give you their names so that you know who they are. All right, start off here with the 6th graders. First one, you guys can just, I don't know if you just want to stand up or come up here so they can get a good look at you. Tegan Klaus. Liliana Irwin. Aubrey Tilchis. We've grown big here at Beecher. Mackenzie Johnson. Elena Lesnica. Taylor Norkus. Ava Patnod. Molly Vladka. Ava Lorenzati. Evelyn Jablonski. Brianne Pappas. I don't ever call you that, do I? Ava Olson. Alexa Cleva. Emma Jean Perry. Brooke Jerkadis. Scanlon. 3 8th graders. Cynthia Hines. Emma Tilchis. Skylar must have had a previous engagement.
She has a fever.
Oh, she would have been here if it was a softball game. She's gonna stay home today and get better for tomorrow for school, so she's at school. But this is these are very talented young ladies here when it comes to the game of softball, and tremendous attitudes and great effort and all throughout the season. So should be very, very proud of them. You know what they did this year for the positive publicity that they received throughout the whole state of Illinois. Thank
you.
Thank you. Yeah, you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay. You don't have to stay. Yep. Thank you. You want me to take that, or do you want to come over tomorrow?
Thank you.
Put it in his front yard.
All right, as they depart, the high school did have a nice fall season as well. So our first person we're going to introduce is the Kevin Hayhurst of girls golf, our girls golf coach, Mr. Marlitz.
Well, no state champion, sorry.
Coming.
We're getting there. We're getting closer. As a girls golf coach, we had a very successful season. We won our 4th consecutive regional championship. We were so close. We were 5 strokes as a team from going to the state for the first time ever as a girls team. So they were a little down about all that. But we do have Emily Hayhurst, who for 3 consecutive years qualified for our state tournament. So if Emily, you want to come on. Emily finished 31st overall. She finished a little bit better last year, but I think the weather last year was a little bit better, I think. It was like 35 degrees and probably snowing last year. This year it was like, 60 and sunny out there. So I don't think she plays well under good conditions. She has the capacity to do her best. But as a senior, we're going to definitely miss Emily's leadership as our team captain, and again, as a 3-year state qualifier. Could be proud of what she's accomplished. And for me, the best thing was I let her dad be my assistant and walk with her for those.
In between softball.
But it was tough for me sitting on the sidelines, but it was wonderful as a parent and coach to see that interaction. So I was very proud of all of
that. Next, we have a future Tar Heel, Ms. Swanson, to talk about our cross-country team.
So this year, the girls cross-country team, 3 weeks into the season, they were on a winning streak. They won the Herscher Invitational, the All-Area Invite. They were regional champs. They came in second at sectionals. That's the best that the girls team's done since 2006. And they then advanced to state. So they worked very, very hard this season to get where they ended up. And I'm very, very proud of them. So lots of them set new personal records for themselves, new season records. And they definitely ended the season the best they possibly could. So. We've got, I don't know if you want me to introduce them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have Emily Hennerberg, she's a sophomore this year. Anaya Killis, is also a sophomore. Casey Swanson, Christina Wang, Sarah Curtis, and Tori Fasano are all seniors. And then our 2 freshmen this year are Sydney and Trinity Bonham.
Good job.
Thank you.
No, it's cross control. Yeah, he's there. More support. We support each other. That's been smart. I appreciate it. It's cultural building.
Okay. And we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
All right. Balance in super now account at First Community at the end of October was $535,463.53. Outstanding checks at month end totaled $117,961.42. 1031 payroll adjustment of $12,918.48, and then another 1031 payroll adjustment of $47.35, left the adjusted bank balance at month end at $399,852.63. The lunch program finished with a balance at $26,781.25. Impressed fund had a balance of $5,000. leaving the total balance at $431,633.98. Investment balances were $14,653,351 on the nose, leaving the balance of all funds at the end of October at $15,084,984.88. October receipts were $542,973.34. Expenses were $4,051,472.27. The individual fund balances at month end: education fund, $8,666,798.99. Building fund, $2,115,274.55. Bond and interest, minus $52,178.66. Transportation, $1,411,688.38. IMRF, $51,848.06. Working cash, $2,428,083.98. Tort fund, $159,653.67. And life safety, $303,815.91. Interest earned at First Community for October was $2109.02. We received state aid in the amount of $170,847.66. School lunch program, $16,642.09, and special milk, $3.65. We had a couple real estate distributions in October. The 8th distribution, $217,388.97, and then a special distribution in the amount of $35,25.42. All the individual fund balances are in the packet.
Any questions? What was the special distribution? Is that?
It just came in through as a special distribution from the county, $100. Just some excess distribution they had. They had like a bonus, yeah. They found some money, I guess.
Need a motion to approve. I'll move.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Who did it?
Liz.
She played, he played.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Okay, Pappas,
Yes.
Mazurk,
Yes.
Goldrick.
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Duchess,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And can we move to the audit?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Michael Lesko with firm of Smith Michael Lesko. Briefly go over the audit with you this evening. Before I get into the report, just want to give you a quick synopsis of what the audit entails. We come out over the summer and we examine the records of the district. By that I mean we confirm all cash and investment balances. We confirm any revenues received through ISB or any other state bodies. We confirm all property taxes received. And then on a test basis, we test expenditures, not only of the district, but also of the student activity funds, as well as payroll, to make sure that not only the right amounts recorded, but they are recorded in the proper funds. We then form an opinion based on our testing, which is on page 1 of this audit report. Your district received a clean or unmodified opinion on the cash regulatory basis of accounting, and that's the highest level we can give you. Another test we do is not for the financial purpose, but the actual internal control purpose. We make sure that all the expenditures that are paid follow the right avenues and that are approved all the way through, ending with the board approving the expenditures. We found all your internal controls to be working order. By that we mean they can detect or deter material misstatements. So again, another clean or unmodified opinion on your internal controls. We'll move on to the report here. Two most important pages of the report are the statement of revenues received and expenditures dispersed. That's on pages 8 and 9 of the report. This kind of gives you a snapshot view of the entire year for the year ended June 30th, 2019. So at the beginning of the report there, it shows all the revenues by fund, which was about $13.6 million. Those are direct revenues. We are going to exclude the on behalf because we don't actually receive that money here. Then we have $13.4 million of expenditures, which means we had a result, any result of $277,000 of increase of our fund balances, which is our cash position at year end. So we ended the year at June 30th of $15.5 million with cash. And now that cash, it was all collateralized or insured, therefore we had no liability with that. The debt is detailed on page 49. We have the future maturities listed out here. Of the 7.8 million of bonds remaining, they are scheduled to be paid off through 2023. And of capital leases, they are to be paid off through 2022. The other reports we issue in relation to the audit are one called Communication, those in charge of governance. That's my firm telling the board here that during the audit we had no disagreements, or if we had any other adjustments we made will be posted. We also did not outsource any of our audit, and we just wanted to communicate to you. We also did issue a management letter. This is our firm giving recommendations to the board. Overall, the business office did a great job. All the reconciliations were proper. The records were kept great. We did have a couple of funds go over budget, and we did find that the treasurer's bond needs to be increased as our cash position increases. The final report we do for you is the state AFR form. It is the electronic Excel version of the same report. That will be submitted upon approval. Just wanted to note that your district received a 3.9 and a 4.0 on your financial profile score, which is their top recognition status. So just wanted to point that out. Are there any questions related to the audit or the other reports that were issued?
I have a couple.
Yes.
You talked about the requirement on, I think I saw it on page 53, the disclosures around the fund balances and going over budget.
Yes.
Where does that requirement stem from? Is that a government standard? Is
Correct,
that a-
yes, yes.
Okay, I just was, didn't say that in the disclosure, so.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Could you
compliance
clarify?
issue. Going over budget is you're not in compliance with governmental auditing standards.
Right, okay. And then, what other items, if, we're working on some financial plan projections and, drafts relating to that, can your firm help us understand what items we should be considering from an, expert in reviewing other districts or kind of in the school district space?
Mhm.
Can you help us with some of those items? You don't necessarily have to answer now, but can we, I think we noted that as a committee follow-up.
Well, I can certainly give advice, but we do have to stay independent. I can't make management decisions, but I can
Correct.
kind of point you in the right directions of where you may want to look for.
Right, if you can just provide any
Yes.
resources would be helpful, just to guide
Absolutely. we'll be able
our
to.
review.
Yes,
Okay,
we can do that.
we'll follow up with you on that then. Thank you.
Okay, so the treasurer bond needs to be increased as the cash increases. Could you
Correct.
explain that a little bit more?
It is Illinois, actually compiled statute that the treasurer's bond be 25% of the outstanding cash and investment balances at any point during the year, but we specifically were at June 30th. So it is a state law that the treasurer's bond be at least 25% of that ending balance.
So you couldn't give us like, in response to her question, you couldn't give us any information like how much would be a good amount to be in a reserve or to keep in reserves, that type of thing? That would be more of a...
No, but every school has their own different methodology, what they need for it, whether there's going to be capital projects, buildings, purchase of land. You have to kind of set that aside of what your normal operations will be. I do know that ISB, when they're giving out the financial profile score, they base their top score on 180 days of cash on hand.
Okay.
So if you want to use how the ISB kind of looks at what they want as a minimum, you might want to take that into consideration, but I cannot give advice on how much they have on hand.
Okay. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. That's the first.
Mr. Palmisano, you have the floor.
All right. First of all, Marla, congratulations, nice job. Put that together. I heard just very slightly different reports from the last meeting about the junior high soccer. The audio wasn't really working, so I thought, rather than just conjecture, would you mind repeating whatever it was that was decided on the junior high soccer, if there have been any updates since the last meeting.
Yeah, certainly. The last meeting, it was discussed how there are actually a couple of different groups that are pursuing a spring league. Mr. Myers, if I get any of this wrong. I believe one is out of Kankakee and the other is out of Mantino.
No, I think it's Mantino, but I think Kankakee might be a part of that.
Oh, okay. So it might be one group.
Yeah.
So, regardless, what this league that's forming is looking at is a co-ed league, and it will be in this spring. And
Spring of 20?
correct. Yep, this upcoming spring. You know, with our, you know, one of the things that we have large question marks around with, you know, the current quality of our soccer fields, and so we have question marks about, you know, where that will take place and you know, where we'll have practices, you know, really questioning, you know, we probably will have home games, that kind of thing, but we, at this point in time, fully plan on participating in this upcoming spring season. So that's what, I think those plans will probably get finalized in January, I think was the last time.
Our Canwell ADs will meet in January, and I know it's not everybody in the Canwell, but I think Bug is a part of it, maybe Kankakee. So I think there's at least 4 or 5 people that are showing interest right now.
Yeah, so that's where we're at.
And a lot of the kids are probably already okay, but I imagine it'd be, the sooner they know, the better when they have to like get their sports physicals for the year and stuff like that. So it gives them time to maybe plan ahead. But I suppose they could do that anyway now if it looks like it's gonna happen, so, okay, thanks.
Okay.
And we got the audit working. I've been assured, and we got,
Audio's good now?
yeah, it should work. You know, we've been very assured that it should be.
If it doesn't,
We-
Paul
they
and I
try.
are gonna chat afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other one seeking the floor, Mr. Cox.
Yeah, so as you know, one of the things that I've implemented since I've been here is just kind of a rotational, just to bring people through that are very important pieces to what we do in the organization, but a lot of times aren't in front of you. You might not know a face, give you a little bit more information on their program. Kelly Shine, I've asked her to come, and she is our new food service director. Here, I can pass those. And so Kelly is going to talk to us a little bit. Is this all one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have them separate.
She's going to talk to us a little bit about menus and menu creation and and participation, whatever else comes to mind. So,
Yeah. In front of you, I did print out some menus. The ones on the first page are the elementary from November, and in the back are December's. And then the second sheet is what we offer the high school and the junior high. The high school and the junior high get a second, choice. And keep, the elementary get the one choice. It's just easier for a child to make up their mind. The older children get 2 choices, but at all 3 schools, we do offer also a salad and our version of a peanut butter and jelly. It's no peanut or anything. And the kids seem to really like it in comparison to last year's. And then on this back sheet is a graph. And what I did was I showed all the meals from August through the present and how many kids we serve daily. There's the elementary, junior high, and the high school. Junior high is lagging a little, can't seem to get it, so we're trying to come up with extra ideas to get them to start buying lunches and to see what they want on their menus. And I was also informed now that I can also give taste testing. So I can call up my representative and he will come out and get Tyson and something like that to, let these kids taste some food so they realize it might not look appetizing to them, but it tastes good.
And they love the cookies at the junior.
I know, my girls keep telling me, we can't get these cookies. Yeah.
So a couple of things that we've tried to do is really focusing on focus on the things that we know that kids, will enjoy and that they're eating. We don't like to say these things, even here in, rural Beecher, but we have kids that this is their best, most highly nutritious meal of the day. And so we want kids engaged, we want kids to be eating. We have, if you look at this menu, you look at the theme, Thursday's breakfast, kids love breakfast stuff. Friday tends to be pizza. We're trying to stick to the things that we know that they're gonna like. And with us using GFS, Oregon Food Service, it's been really high quality so far. It's the quality of what we're serving is really good, and so it's really good.
Yeah, and I mean, I do, at lunch, I will go around to the kids and ask them, especially with a new item, how did you like this? And they'll give me their honest opinion. The high school might love them, the elementary might love them, junior high will be like, oh. So, I want their feedback, because that's how I plan the menus. I'm not gonna serve these kids something they're not gonna like. So.
Also, the one thing that I've gotten feedback on at the elementary school is the fact that the dishes are served to them, like the
Yes.
food is put on, versus the kids getting that is very appreciated.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, it's too difficult for these children to, understand and move through the line. And I'm trying to make it a lot easier for them because I found that I can order through like commodities and stuff like that. They offer, like McDonald's, the prepackaged sliced apples. These kids are little, they can't bite into an apple and they all come up, can we have it cut? But now I know I can offer them at least some sliced apples, so it's easier for them to eat and stuff. So I've been doing that for them, and they seem to really enjoy that. So.
I appreciate the graphical representation, but just an observation is, if I take kind of the average, I know the numbers are higher, of course at the elementary school, but if you take the average divided by the student, it seems to be like 30, mid-30s.
Yeah,
I mean, when you say it's lagging.
Well, in the junior high, we're serving maybe 50s, 60s, where the high school is 100 and elementary is 100. Right, there's more children, right, but we still want to get more of these kids, involved in the lunch program,
The nice part is that the numbers at the elementary school and high school are continually trending up.
Yes.
Right.
And so we just need to game plan a little better.
Our fault.
Junior high. Nobody's blaming us.
No, I'm not.
But we just have to figure out what's going on and how to be more successful.
Like I said, I'm trying to figure it out so that I can get them encouraged to eat the lunches.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any comments, or have you heard any feedback on the price point?
No, I mean, no one's complained, nobody said anything to me.
My daughter, that's who manages, I think she said it's good, so.
Well, I'm
My kids also have no complaints.
But I'm glad. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the vein of being better, I want to touch on something that I had sent my last update. One of the things that we're trying to be more transparent about is issues and any glitches that we have in our IT departments, our bus repair, our maintenance. We're trying to get better queues and ticket systems for those areas, try to increase responsiveness and turnaround time, really trying to make sure that we understand that in those areas especially, that it is all about service. It's all about making sure that we have, good uptime in all those areas because the people who are trying to work with our kids, we want to keep their frustrations to a minimum. So we're trying to do what we can.
And then, do you have an update on the residency project?
It's in process.
Okay.
I can check in with them and see where they are in that process. I don't know if they've started engaging families, but I can do that in my next report and give you an update.
Okay, and then do we have a target for when we would get results back?
I would think by the end of the semester, so sometime in the next 5 or 6 weeks probably.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Other questions?
Are you going to discuss anything else from your report? Your latest?
So the things that are specific to the agenda, yes,
Okay.
all of those things we will discuss in detail.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Black?
Hello, everyone. I feel like we are getting to the point where our enrollment is now kind of, becoming a little more steady. We only gained one student last month, so that was great. Putting us at the grand total of 470 students. There were just a couple of points that I wanted to highlight on my report. The picture's a little small, but if you are able to come to our school, we have a really big poster that we had made that says I am the I in kind at Beecher Elementary School. So last year students were copying kind and they received a little card that said what they were copying kind doing. And so this year to kind of make that a little bit more special for the kids, we have this poster and they get to stand and be the I, and if they're little enough they get to put the dot on top of the I. If they're taller, they just stand. Along with that, we also are posting those on Facebook. We have them displayed in the classroom. And I also write a note to parents. Also, I give them a copy of that picture that I take and then write a note about what their child was copying kind doing to send home with them. And the kids really seem to like it. Even some of the 5th graders, even though they act like they don't want to smile, they actually do like it. So. Also, a couple of things under miscellaneous. First of all, I think the timing with our parent-teacher conferences this year was really great, that the 5 Essential Survey was open this year at the time that happened. So I, at my building, have already reached that threshold of 20% of parent responses in order to get a report back. And since I've been here, this will be the first year that we will be able to get that report back from parents, because we have to have a certain percentage before they give that to us. So that was really great to see that, I'll be able to see the parent feedback from that survey. And obviously it was helpful that all the parents were going through our building during parent-teacher conference time, and we had computers set up in the lobby for parents to be able to complete the survey right then and there. Also, one of the things that came out of our steering committee meetings was the idea of having a parent university type of event where we will have the opportunity to invite parents in and teach them about the different technology pieces that their children are using at school. So I have a Google form put together that I'm going to push out to parents over the next couple of weeks. The SLT team and I have been looking through it, asking parents what types of things they would like to see offered, what they would, what days, what times would be the best for them to come, and also what topics. So some of the things that we are looking at are all of those curriculum pieces, so they can sit down and see how our Go Math series looks, how they can log into it at home along with science, and journeys. Also going through Power School, we still do, even though many of our parents access Power School at home, we still have some parents who don't access Power School at all. So sitting down and showing them how to use that. Also showing them how Google Classroom works, how they can help their child log in and see work and do all of those types of things. So we plan on doing that now that, even though it's crazy to feel like the holiday season is already here, planning an event for right now would be a little bit difficult, but we're looking at doing that at the end of January, beginning of February, when things slow down a little bit for people to come in and learn about those instructional pieces. Any questions?
As part of that initiative, have you considered any maybe overall district information?
With Power School would be
Right.
doing that. I'm up for any suggestions, if you had a suggestion or whatever, because I haven't sent that out yet, so I just have click boxes of what parents would be interested in, but yeah.
Okay.
Certainly so.
I didn't think through more specifics, just was curious on stuff of that.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Meyer.
I'm going to try to follow Mr. Gahan because he's doing an outstanding job of culture building at the high school. So that's why I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. I've got some pictures to share if you are interested. One of the things that our science department, we've done a pretty good job with some STEM lately with our new series. And so we went to Joliet Junior College. We took 36 kids, and there's some pictures that I tried to have Mrs. Granissi explain, so I've got some green little Post-it notes on there. But we took a few kids from each class, and they seem to truly enjoy the activities. And so now, and I think it's part of the report that is in, or part of the science report in my board report, talks about some of those things. And now Mrs. Granisey and Mr. Martowitz are going to try to purchase the catapult, purchase some of those things so we can choose to do those in our gym or hallway or whatever. So just trying to push the positive in terms of that STEM activity is one. We had a pizza lunch for our AR winners. We have 30 students, and you have to get above 30 points. And so the highest point total we had was 132.8, which is pretty good. But I think Mr. Palmisano's daughter would put that to shame, because I think if I remember correctly, she was in the 300s at sometimes. And so it depends on how many. So, you get a 10-point book or a 15-point book, and so like each quarter. So I want to say that, she had over 300. But we've got quite a few kids around 130, so which is pretty pleasing to us. Library contest, Mrs. Burdick gives out gift cards for people that get their stuff done earlier than the last official day for AR to be finished. So she passes out a few gift cards for that. Nathan DeChenko, I have a picture of him, but I don't think I passed that around. He won the Lions Club contest about peace, so he goes on to state and possibly could go on to nationals if that's, or regionals, then it's the state, sorry. So he won the area contest. Jim Nessie is the Cold-Blooded Creatures. That was our on-site incentive program. If you did the right thing, you had good grades, etc., and not have absences or not have zeros. It's the last time we're going to see this man. He's moving to Florida. He's got, Bubba is his 8-foot alligator. And one of the greatest pictures of there, Pikel hates snakes, and so we got a snake on Pikel's head, which is phenomenal, because he looks bug-eyed anyway sometimes, but it's a great picture, so it worked out really well. And Jim was recognized this summer as, I think we had, was it Chance the Snapper in the Chicago Pond or whatever, and so he was called, and they interviewed him in one of the morning shows and gave his advice and his opinion on what was going on. And he was telling us if everybody would have backed away and they wouldn't have said anything, they would have caught that gator in no time. But everybody was there, and all the people and the cameras and all that scared. Finally they caught him, but scared the gator, and so that's why he or she wouldn't come out. Grade wars is the last thing I'll talk about. One of the things we do in October is try to, I don't want to say pit classes or grades against grades, but that's what we do. We try to show the support for each other. And one of our social emotional things with some of the activities, we're wearing orange. We're class color day. We're find your match. So Mr. Melton tears a playing card in half and then gives kids these cards, and they have to figure out through the day who their match is. And then when they find it, then they bring it to Mr. Melton. You get put in a hat, and then you get drawn, and then they win a gift card or something like that. So we try to match different people. Trivia battle, pajama jammy jam. So it was another day. Hats for the hungry. Costume contest we ended up with, and that usually we have a pretty good job of the first periods trying to dress. So you have the teacher being the leader or whatever, and everybody try to dress the same or similar with that. So we're trying to push the positive, trying to push the culture in October. And so in this pride is kind of what Mr. Melton's talking about with all these activities, and they're leading into November as well. Birthday wall, bulletin board, shout outs, and then birthday we'll put stuff on their lockers. So trying to have some positiveness with these kids that don't eat lunch, and I'm sorry, but trying to get all that stuff worked out. So hopefully, and the pictures are fun, the kids have a good time, we hope, so that's the goal of a lot of these things.
Just to let you know, we're not changing the name of Eat Your Alligators per your text message to me.
It's
We're
okay.
keeping it as Bobcats, so.
I thought it was Lady, oh no.
Just teasing.
So am I. It's touchy over here, I'm sorry. Anything else I may answer for you? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gam.
All right, for my report, I'm going to highlight two things. I know Mr. Byers said it in jest, but it is a serious note.
It is.
you know, at one of the principal conferences we went to, there was a statement that was made saying, you can't ask for a withdrawal from something you haven't invested. So if we're asking these kids for better test scores, we're asking for more achievement, if we're not giving them something of ourselves, you're never gonna get anything out of it. So we kind of did a little bit of a shift this year at the high school. Yes, the test scores will be important. Yes, I'll do what I can to bring those up so we look good to the state, but we're really trying to build a culture of caring with one another. I made a notion in there that there's postcards going home. I bought 400 postcards, stamped them all, and every kid, by fingers crossed, are going to get a postcard from a teacher, just something good that they've done here. If you walk down our hallways, we now have positive bulletin boards. Gianna Martinez put up a shout-out board. It's just little things that we can start doing to recognize the kids, and thank you for what they do every single day. And, you know, they come to school because they have to, but doesn't mean they can't be appreciated when they're here. So that's one of the big things about it. The other thing is, obviously, we know that things happen in school that aren't always positive. I talked to Ms. Rojas about putting something on our website. She says, actually, we have something on our website. It's buried. I had to get through 5 different pages to finally find it. It was created in 2012, so I kind of revamped it, cleaned it up with the help of Paul. He put our smack dab right on the very front page. So if you go to the 200U or the high school website, you click on students, the very bottom it says report an incident. You click on it, you give us, if you want to, your name, what happened, time of day, the location, and it's going to go right to my computer, right to Mr. Aguirre's computer. Sarsini and Rojas will all get it. We can actually look into situations where kids either felt intimidated, were picked on, things like that. So at least we have some kind of process. It's not perfect, but it's better than we were. And then lastly, one of the things that I always had a lot of pride on, Mr. Cox knows I'm a huge Beach Boy fan, and they have a song, Be True to Your School. It's not as good as Kokomo. That was pretty good. Fun fact, Kokomo was written for the movie Cocktail, just wanted to get on that. So, one of the things I bought when I was in high school was a Letterman jacket. That's what I did. I went home a few weeks ago, and as I'm driving through McDonald's, because I'm a fat guy, right there the girl helping me, it was wearing a Letterman jacket. And I'm going, you know what, I'm done with this. I don't want to say shameful, but it's not prideful that we don't have something like this. So we're at the conference. Pat Buchetti, who's worked with us for Johnston's with Rings, was down there. I said, hey, do you guys do Letterman jackets? He goes, absolutely. I set up an appointment, and on Friday I'll have 5 students with me. We're going to design a Beecher Letterman jacket. We're going to set up kind of a method to make sure any student, if they're a senior and buy it, we're going to backdate every one of their letters, their patches, everything, get them on those jackets. That way the kids can have something walking out of our door with a big B on their chest saying, you know, that this is where I belong. Because we need to do it.
That was one of my questions for this month, and when I heard that you were doing that, I was so excited. They're back in style, and everybody's wearing them now. And
Oh man,
I think
they're
that's
never out of
just
style.
school pride. Well, you can still wear yours.
But those are the main highlights for mine. If there's any questions on my report or the newsletter that came out.
Were you
Go
going to
ahead.
talk about the World Strides thing?
Oh, like I said, every month I kind of just put something that our staff members do, and I think last month was Drama Club. World Strides, it isn't actually school-based, but Miss Rose, one of our teachers here, and she does a lot of publication with our students, and she takes them overseas. Last year she toured Europe, and so every other year she's trying to do Spanish-speaking countries.
So this has already been implemented in its
Yeah,
statutes.
yeah, she did it last year. I think she's putting plans together for not this upcoming summer, but the following. And she does it all on her own. She just says,
That's
hey,
awesome.
this is something we can publicize here and 100% give kids opportunities.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Just did you clean your jacket?
My leather
Had
jacket?
for many years.
Oh, no, it's still dusty. It's sitting in the back of the closet.
Do we need to go to a different section? Moving on to new business. High school junior varsity baseball coach. Do we have candidate or-
Employment of Ross Madden.
Okay. Need a motion to accept the employment of Ross Madden as high school junior varsity baseball coach.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Wessel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Masurek?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And we need a motion to approve the fiscal 2019 school audit as presented and explained.
So moved.
Second.
You know, real quickly, I made this comment in the finance committee, and I want to make sure that the full board hears this. Probably the single most important thing that an outside independent auditor does is to really check our processes. And I know John touched on that a little bit. But it is so important, especially in a school of our size, that there is a very thorough system of checks and balances in place, so that no one person has the ability, not that any of the people that work here ever would, but have the ability to even think about doing something inappropriate. And one of the things that he made a point to mention is that that's something that we do very cleanly. We have redundancies upon our redundancies, even though we just have a small number with Mike and Marla and Kara and myself. But amongst the four of us, there are all kinds of checks and balances going across. And so it's something we do well, and it's something that anytime that we have an organization this size, or if you're going to sit on a board this size, you always hear about those things. You hear about something in the news, somebody embezzled $1 million, $250,000, or in Dixon it was $52 million, right? And so we have those checks and balances in place, and that's a huge positive for where we are. I want to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, so then ready for roll call.
Yes.
All right, Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Masurek?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And we need a motion to adopt the 2019 tentative tax levy as presented.
Can we have a discussion of the financial projection?
Oh, I'm sorry, we skipped over
I
that.
wondered what happened. What?
Yeah, so the last finance committee meeting, we had talked about a financial projection, and we've been kind of going, back and forth, trying to look at exactly what are the pieces that we want to include. A lot of it is really going to be dependent on how this year ends up shaking out. Structurally, we're talking about what our budget looks like without without any additional projects. Like later tonight, we're going to talk about, very much needed asbestos abatement. So those types of projects are separate from this. What we want to do is we want to strip that away. I believe in the last one, we even stripped away our debt, what the bonding revenue and expenditure look like. We want to look at what that structural piece looks like for us on an annual basis. And as it's projected now, which of course is very much projected off of how this year shakes out. So how this year shakes out with all these moves will be very influential. But moving forward, it looks like we will be running a structural deficit every year in the neighborhood of $750,000. And so I think it's important that, even though, I'm going to say this for the third time, it's really important to see how this year shakes out, because we do have so many new things, just from a structural perspective. But looking at how we think that that's going to go, in years forward, it looks like we are going to have some type of structural deficit. One of the things that I think that's very important to be cognizant of is because then, as we do look at facility updates, those two things very much go together. You don't want to say, oh, and I'm not saying that anybody would say this, but, oh, we have $15 million in the bank, we're going to do $15 million worth of facility upgrades, and now next year we have to, start cutting things or go for a referendum because we have $750,000 in this structural deficit. And so I don't think the committee members kind of want to piggyback on it.
So I had concerns about this. So we went from a 1.145 surplus year ago to now And when I approved the budget, which was like $664,000 deficit, it said it included like additional prep work for summer projects. And now you're saying at the finance committee that included no projects. So now you want a $750,000 deficit spending for the next 4 or 5 years, and then that would take the reserves down from just under $15 million to $12 million, and then we've just dwindled the reserves down, and we haven't gotten our projects done, and then I don't know how we get out of this loop of what you said you wanted to do was, well, I'll let you speak, but you were talking about trying to get a non-referendum bond passed, and it seems like that would be to pay for just fixed costs, and I'm not really on board with it. That's what the plan is. I don't know. I'm more traditional, where I would think that the expenditures would be more similar to the revenue, where you're running a $750,000 deficit, and then you just want to like borrow some money to make ends meet. That's how it seemed like to me at the meeting. So
when you say you, I assume that that's a royal you.
Well, you broke the projection.
So let me keep not interrupting. I appreciate that. I assume that you're saying that's a royal you because all of these things are things that we've talked about for almost the last year now. Structurally, the addition of positions, how we need to make up for the fact that we haven't been buying as many buses, haven't been keeping up on IT purchases, haven't been keeping up on textbook purchases. And so, yes, when we're now trying to play catch up, because for years, we put $1 million in the bank, put $1 million in the bank, put $1 million in the bank. We weren't keeping up with what we needed to. And so now, does it make sense then, in order to catch up, that you'd have to go the other way and start pulling some of that money out of the bank? I think that makes sense to me.
I would agree, and I think in the prior years, from my understanding, that the way the budget was even created, I think is different. To echo what Mr. Cox said, is that those items, a lot of these items are being planned for. Things like buses, routine items, software, equipment, things like that are included in the budget. There are the multitude of projects on the facilities front, though, that are excluded and would be incremental to these dollars presented here. I don't think this is a static analysis either, for all of us. This is something, at a minimum, I think we should update every quarter to true up, because alone, even the budget that we had submitted to the state, we've identified additional items or differences just in the past couple months. And so we can update this as real-time information continues to become available. In addition, I think us as a board, we all need to consider that every time we're looking at potential capital expenditures, facility improvements, keeping in mind that that is all incremental, asking the questions, is this included in the budget? I think Mr. Cox wanted to follow up on Carla's point though about some items are included in the budget. And I believe I can look in my email, but do you recall from the budget development what, I think you had X amount of dollars, was it 100, 200, that we had included for general estimate expenses? So those would be some of the dollars potentially that.
Yeah, so if you look,
Is it in the?
if you look on the finance report,
Okay.
Which I know is 14 pages of 1,400 lines of confusion. But if you go to, we'll call it page 16, which is where the building fund expenditures are.
Yeah. 16?
Yeah.
you'll see that we have $290,000 budgeted for building and grounds improvements, and we haven't spent any of that. So if you kind of want to take a minute and kind of,
Yeah.
just some point in time, over the next, week or two. But if you look at that page, that will be able to tell you, where we've spent money, where we haven't spent money. And really, when you look at kind of your, I'm going to call them larger projects, but they're the kind of $25,000 to $50,000 projects that a school will do. Those costs, the majority of those we've already incurred for this year, because those are summer projects and you get the bill July, August, September. That's when they get paid. And so the summer projects that we have lined up for next year, the majority of that payment will come out of next year's budget. So when you look at where we are on Fund 20 this year, we still do have quite a bit of room.
Right.
So that we should be able to absorb some of these smaller projects as we move through. And in addition to, one of the things that I had mentioned is, there will be some, architectural fees for some prep work on, the things that we're going to implement. And so we've tried to cushion that into this budget as well.
So that's where I think we'll continue to see, the expense over time. So thank you for pointing that out.
Of course.
So I think we need to keep, I guess, the point of my message was that we need to keep our finger on the pulse here, and continue to monitor, given this year is so critical, I think, as a baseline. And we've talked about that,
That's a great idea.
at the committee and so on.
So are you anticipating a time when the expenditures will pretty much meet the revenue, or?
Well, I think a lot of that depends on exactly how this year shakes out. I think, Marla and I were just discussing the other day that we were looking at a little bit greater state revenue than we thought we were going to get. And so, I'm not trying to, I don't know what's going to look like 4 years. I think the point of this exercise is not exactly what it's going to look like 4 years from now. I think the point of the exercise is, if we think that this structural deficit is happening, how does that impact us moving forward? And how cautious do we need to be in our other spendings? I think that's the point of the exercise.
Because I'm concerned about borrowing money just from day-to-day costs. I mean, if we have a project we're working on, that might be different, but just day-to-day cost we haven't done that since, as you said, in '94. We haven't had to do that, and now I don't want to, that doesn't seem like something that I'm too sure about.
I think we've also committed in, as we all know, the majority of our budget is payroll and employee-related, staffing-related expenses, that we've all been a part of those decisions, and that's definitely the biggest impact on these projections going forward. So knowing, we knew kind of what that estimate would look like, and from my perspective, this was the first time that I could see it, I think, in the whole context of all of the other funds as well.
So I believe when we voted for the teachers, that was projected to increase about $250,000. And then when we voted for the classified staff, that was about $110,000.
Agreed.
So there was about $360,000.
Well, that's almost 400,000, which is about 2/3 of our increase, which is about 2/3 of our budget, so that's in line.
We were $1 million surplus the year before, so.
But that was under a different contract.
I'm just talking about a year and a half, I mean, the year before, we had $1 million surplus, so we've gone a complete swing. So,
Right.
that's the point.
Where do you anticipate for, because one of the biggest was for sped outplacement last year. So where do you see us in line for that for this year?
It's a continuing conversation. You know, one of the things that Mrs. Compton and I have had lots of conversations about is, you know, what does that look like moving forward? You know, that's an area that we need to be better at, not only for our kids, but also for our bottom line. So that's an area of importance for us this year.
Did you allow more in the budget regarding that then? Okay, and then, okay.
But that can swing too.
Absolutely.
Either way.
Of course.
Mhm.
I didn't really see anywhere in the budget for the special ed. I looked at last year's levy, so maybe you can kind of explain that. How last year's levy had $977,132 for special education, and this one had 0, so I don't know where you moved that money.
So, does this mean we're transitioning to the tax levy conversation?
It sounds like it.
Okay. So the anticipation is that our aggregate levy, which is, aggregate's a fancy term for your levy without your balance. So our anticipation is that the tax rate for our aggregate levy is going to drop from 550 down to about 528. That's the projection. So when you decrease that tax rate by 22 cents, you have to figure out where you're going to subtract those dollars, not those dollars, subtract that rate amount. The levy on the local property taxes for special education is, quite frankly, it's a drop in the bucket, regardless of what we have in there. We, by no means, have ever completely funded our special education out of whatever that levy is. And so the important number to understand on the tax levy is what that total number is and what does that look like in relation to last year. Last year's total levy number was 8.5 and change, and so we are limited by that CPI, by that multiplier of 1.9%, and so 1.9% over that is 1.6 and change. It's an increase of about $165,000.
So we spent, let's be realistic here, we spent more for special education, we added more to special education, because let's be realistic, and I'll go back 4 years, and you guys can argue with me any way you want. I think we're lacking special education funding and stuff for our special education students, but that's another conversation, and curriculum, whatever, but have we added more money to it?
So for this year, we specifically added an entire program at the elementary school for special education. You know, it's a portion of our student body that we very much do everything in our power to make sure that they're taken care of, because they do have additional needs. So very
We
important.
say at the elementary, I understand, and I get it, but we have special ed at all 3 levels. What I'm asking for is, anybody ever looked at that? You know, even when our prior board, when I said that, what do they spend per capita down there? What do they spend over here? We never really got a projection, but, you know, I would like to see more money spent in special ed, because we do have a lot of special ed children, and I'd just like to see more. And I mean, I don't think we've taken it up, since I've been on the board, we have not really looked at it, and I think we should look into it more, maybe for next year. I'm not saying this year, I just think that,
Are you saying like for our district capabilities?
yeah,
Okay.
to add more, you know, what we can do here, because
Yeah. I agree.
I just think that we need to look at it in a bigger picture, you know, and I'm sure I see you agreeing with me. I just want to see more in the special education realm of things. I mean, if we can look at it down the road here, maybe for next year, but I have not in my 4 years, well, it's my 5th year on the board now, but I have not had a conversation about special education, I think, and if you hear a lot of parents they want more. I understand there's just things we can't do here, but if we can look at more funding for that, it'd be great. See if we can put it here in the
I
school.
agree.
Are you clear why it's not in here?
No, I don't. I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm not on the
Not
finance
either.
committee, and, I take the finance committee. I wish that you guys are a little bit more transparent and come to a board meeting. I mean, I can come in and listen to the tapes, but, but I
So
wish-
let me say it another way. At the end of the day, we will not be able to levy enough in the special education levy to cover whatever our special ed costs are. The majority of our special education funding gets drawn from, well, it actually all gets drawn out of the education fund. And so what I'm going to refer to as just generic education dollars are what fund all education, including special education.
But I'm willing to tell the people, yeah, I'm deficit spending. If we have more for our special education or our educational programs, I have no problem with that. I can explain to the residents. But, there's stuff that, talk about deficit spending more, if we can put that out there. And I don't mean this year because we're already in a year, but for future.
Well, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No, go
off there. You can very much say that this year, because a part of where we are this year has been that significant allocation for us to start and staff a completely new program to help an extra set of special education students that we weren't able to help in the past.
And I totally understand that, but what I'm talking about is like when we talk about the elementary, we started that program there, and I believe it's working. But when we look at the whole district in there, we have, there's stories I hear, and it just, I know we never had that conversation. I would like that conversation to come forward, maybe invite the parents of those students to come here and give us what they think. I mean,
That would have been a good opportunity for that superintendent forum.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
just saying.
Ms. Compton's looking at, I think, the overall program as
Yes,
well.
and any option she can do with everything with
The more
it.
people
Yeah.
on board, the better off we are.
Yeah, she had a lot of feedback for that too at our curriculum meeting.
Okay, so maybe we can make that a future item, but let's get back to the tax levy.
What we reviewed at the finance committee was essentially proposing the rate at 528, and essentially we can't do any better. So that's essentially the max amount that we could set it at, which we also think is appropriate this year, given the nature of our commitments, given the nature of our budget and so on as well, that we just talked about briefly, so.
So we're not voting for a rate, we're voting for an amount of money, and we're voting for $162,000 more.
That's correct.
Right, it's the $8.6
Right.
million that will make a tentative levy proposal for tonight. $8,674,618 to be exact.
So we're asking for more.
Correct, compared
And
to
if we ask for more with the amount of reserves that we have, is that not going to be able to happen?
It's projected our rate will drop by 22 cents
Okay.
But if,
while bringing in an additional 162,000.
Because of an increase in the value, property
Yes.
values.
due to the way the math works, do you want to explain that, Mr. Cox? That's our favorite.
Certainly. So it's a multiplication problem, that the amount of money that you bring in is going to equal your EAV, the property value, multiplied by the rate. Okay? And so since the EAV is going to the increase in EAV is going to increase at a greater rate than the amount of money we can collect,
Okay.
which is that tax cap, which is the way it's supposed to function. By definition, then our rate has to go down.
Okay.
And what was last year's rate?
Total, the aggregate rate last year was in the neighborhood of 550 again.
Okay.
And the bottom line is it should make the average homeowner's bill go down for our portion.
For our portion.
But the basis has gone up. So the rate goes down because your property value has gone up.
So congratulations.
Does that make sense?
A little bit.
A little bit. Any other
We need a
questions?
whiteboard, Mr.
Right,
Ross.
exactly.
Well, I can pass around, I think of where to put it.
And I'll have a presentation on this at the next meeting as well.
Okay.
And then in addition, we have the public hearing prior to the next board meeting.
Yes.
For an opportunity to comment, on it as well.
Okay. It's just distressing that I haven't voted for any type of tax increase, and I had two other, I did it by myself last time, and then it just seems like this time we're such deficit spending for fixed costs.
And that's the effect of the decisions that, the board has made specifically over the last few months.
Like we said, we already had figured in the $250,000 for the teacher salaries. And then we made $110,000 for the classified, the certified staff. That wasn't, it didn't equal $1.5 million changes in fixed costs.
Sorry.
That's my estimate. I asked you what the estimate was, and you just kind of, you didn't really answer it. You just kind of gave me something back from August, which I think was like $800,000 in fixed costs. I figured it out at the time, so I don't know where we came up with the 1.5 million. You came up with the August 1st projection. That's what you came up. That's what you just wrote for me.
All right, any other questions on the tentative tax levy for 2019?
Okay.
I need a motion to adopt the tentative 2019 tax levy as presented.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Mazurk,
Present.
Goldrick,
Stay.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
No.
and Duchess.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to laptop cases. We need a motion to approve the purchase of 730 laptop cases for a total cost of $14,800.74.
Where are we buying these at? Because when you divide 730, listen, I was looking at Amazon. I don't know where we're buying them at, but the waterproof case for the Chromebook, I see them at like $11 and $14, and I add it up, and it comes to the highest was $10,000. So I see $14,800. I don't know where we're purchasing them
The
at.
quote's in the board packet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, so they're about $20 a piece, and it's about the cases being protective. We have made this large investment, and so we want to then have a case that is going to protect this hardware to minimize the breakage that we have moving forward.
Well, the ones I saw were protected and waterproof, and they weren't at $20, but.
Do you have a description, like a picture of them or anything? No? I was just wondering for what
Maybe.
we
I
have
can-
at
I
my
can-
school.
I can probably
No.
get you one.
Aren't the students responsible for these? Excuse me. Aren't the students responsible for their Chromebooks and stuff?
So the students are responsible for them. And so if there is breakage that occurs, the students will have skin in that game, for sure. But we also want to help them in that cause. We want to help them to have the protective.
So moving forward with this, when would they take home? Is
Yeah.
that what this is for?
Yeah, and so that's exactly what this is
Okay.
for. So at the junior high and at the high school, we are ramping up the conversation about having technology in students' hands, either during the completeness of the school day and/or them taking them home at night. And so I don't know if either of you gentlemen would like to speak to that a little bit about how those conversations are going, but that's a very real possibility in the very near future.
Like
So-
this year?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
This year. And so we're, I mean, because this whole process is to put technology in kids' hands, to change the way that we have teaching and learning in our schools. And so we want to do that in as responsible a way as possible.
So in the neighboring district that I work at, it's our first year taking home. They have great cases that they carry around with them, and they all use this case, because they have to, but they all use it, and it's a wonderful case that they can wear over their body. Also, the program that we're in, they paid $20 for insurance for them, so if anything happens, they get to take them home after 8th grade graduation and high school graduation. Those are their Chromebooks. The biggest problem we're seeing as staff is that they're not charging them at night. So
Right.
we've set up incentives and things so that it is charged. And then there's loaners in case it's not charged or they forgot it at home. But with our student population, it's been extremely successful.
Yeah, and one of the things that we will most likely discuss sometime in the spring is to see if we want to implement that user end of things into our current fee structure. Very common that, okay, so now we're going to give you this piece of hardware that you're going to be using every day, and so for that, then there's an annual $40 technology fee, $40, whatever it is. That way, as we collect those funds, then we can at least partially pay for new equipment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe down the road, offer to students can purchase theirs.
We will have those conversations as well.
Yeah, there's like companies that they'll look at and go through and stuff for. So, okay.
Did you see where they're coming from? Rugged protection?
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, did anybody, you can see them like on Amazon, they're there.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact.
I know we buy it from Amazon and stuff.
Yeah, and glad you're here, Paul. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Mr. Duncan actually ordered a couple to have on site so they could look at and test, and because it's not just having a case, it's having one that's willing to be able to put these spaces.
RPA something.
Yeah, I think
Any other questions? I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurk?
Yes.
Goldberg?
No.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
No.
Motion carried.
Need a motion to approve the purchase of a 2012 JLG 20 MBL lift for a cost of $5,900.
Well needed. So
Oh,
moved.
so, yeah, second.
That's in this year's budget?
As of now,
Right.
I would assume it is.
Which is great, because
There's
evidently we have one more of these
available
to
funds, yes.
put up.
Or my opinion.
Have multiple things to put up.
Mr. Myers' picture.
At the well.
Gym, I heard.
No, that's the picture at the
Yeah.
school, at the elementary.
It's definitely a
Yeah, no,
canvas of you.
Okay, no, but we have multiple things too. That'd be great.
I don't want to show the text message from you, but
It'd be great.
Any other questions on the highway?
no.
I think we got them.
I didn't get, Ron was the motion, and Julie the second?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Missouri?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we need some figures on the assistant
Yes.
maintenance director.
Yeah, it'd be 1568 would be the adjusted wage.
1568.
Wait, Mr. Cox, I know we talked about this, but again, I don't want to go into specifics, but what can you do? And this is just, I know Mike does a lot, but what does our assistant do?
Certainly, and so it's just that, smaller, I don't want to say smaller, but specific projects that he can not only do by himself, but also there are a lot larger projects that Mr. Stanula needs assistance with. And so even though he does have some responsibilities in the high school in the morning, from a custodial standpoint, when he's not on call or needed, he's still trying to get to maintenance items within the high school, even though he kind of needs to be here to need that rise.
So is he proficient in plumbing, minor electrical, stuff like that?
No. Really none of those things. So it's more basic.
Is there anything set up with each school with the maintenance supervisor and directors, with like, as a supervisor, where they're making sure that, you know, daytime duties at the elementary school are being done, where there's a job checklist or anything like that to make sure that desks are being cleaned off and certain items are always done, especially as we're majorly in cold and flu season, you know?
Yep, I think those are ongoing and continual conversations.
Okay.
I know that, you know, as I look at the three building principals, you know, they continue to have those conversations, not only with the custodians, but at times with Mr. Stanula to see, you know, what the custodians need. And so
Mhm.
those are constant conversations.
Okay,
You bet.
just parameters, okay.
So I need a motion to approve the assistant maintenance director wage of $15.68.
Before we go there, is he also in charge of shoveling the sidewalks in the morning when it's snowfall?
So I think we were just having this conversation today. So he will have some responsibility at the high school, whereas the other custodians that are assigned to those buildings during the day would have that responsibility for those buildings. So he'll be one of three
Okay.
custodians.
When it snows during the evening, is there a set time that the custodians have to be here to do snow removal? Or is it just a normal start time at 7:30, 8 o'clock?
Well, once again, something that we were specifically talking about today.
I see one
So,
coming
yeah,
in about
to
5:30,
get them in
6.
early, so they can get things cleared, get ice on the sidewalks. That's our goal.
Yeah.
You don't want
Ice, yeah.
We don't want sand either.
Yeah.
We don't want sand
We
either.
try not to put
Yeah,
these.
but yeah, no, that's the goal.
For the
Exactly.
safety of the staff
So
as
there
they
will be
arrive.
something,
Troy?
so there will be something set in stone saying, hey, on a snow day, somebody's certain job, whoever it is, your job is to be here by 5 o'clock and start moving.
That's our goal, yes.
So Mrs. Black doesn't have to shoulder. I appreciate
You know, it could be him. Possibly.
Yeah, I believe, especially at the high school, yeah.
it. Okay.
And when would the effective date be on this?
It'd be effective
As of
now, will
now.
not be retroactive. It'll be effective now.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, but
So I need a motion to approve the assistant maintenance director wage of $15.68 an hour, effective today.
Should it be effective the next
Well,
pay cycle?
effective the next pay period.
Today's date, so
Today's date.
whatever hours you
Yeah.
want today, going forward.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the junior high athletic director job description as presented.
So this is just the first reading. I did notice that one of the items, I don't remember, Mr. Meyer, if you remember, maybe 21, actually referenced the wrong, thanks for being here, Mike, we appreciate it. Really referenced the wrong governing body. It should read IESA instead of IHSA. So we need to make that correction.
I know in the past, with Mr. Ogden's position, as the director, he did it. I mean, not him, but Ackerman. And then, what do we need assistant for? I know I read the thing here, I'm just,
You're not assistant, you're another person for junior high. Looking at assistant, we're looking at another staff member.
Right.
As,
But it's a stipend.
if
Yeah,
I-
we're
yeah.
not looking at, right, we're looking at this being a stipend.
A stipend.
A stipend.
Yes.
Correct.
As I have, I'm at a lot of sporting events and things like that, I think that also in the last, 5 years, sports have evolved quite a bit. The amount of things that have to be paid for on time, that have to be scheduled as far as regionals go and things like that, I feel that to improve the efficacy for our district, for our sports, also to make sure that somebody is always present at some very important events that, that may not have been attended before, this is a major plus. I think we really, the need is there.
And I think you combine that with the fact that this person is also integral into the discipline of the high school, and
He's got it on full plate.
unfortunately, that has grown over time, that discipline in high school.
It's to be determined.
So is number 4 supposed to say, and physicals for participants in high school / junior high sports? I thought I saw some grammatical errors. Are we gonna try to fix some of those?
Yeah, it should be junior high.
Just right.
And any of those other several, you'll present another one that doesn't
Yep,
have so
we'll
many?
have one
Cleaned
amended,
up?
that's why this is the first reading.
Okay.
Any other questions?
no.
I think it's a good add given to just what our students and our community has delivered, so to support them in this effort.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Hey, I need a motion to approve the snow removal bid from Lang Excavating as presented.
So I have some questions. As last year's snow removal was not exemplary, I was hoping to see some different things that we would like to expect on this contract.
That will definitely be taken care of. So these are rates, and so now it's the conversation about setting out exactly what the expectations are.
Okay. And then and so no other bids came forward from it? Okay.
If you would like, I could provide the board a copy of those written expectations.
That would be great.
Okay.
Any other questions? Need a motion to approve the snow removal bid from Lang Excavating.
So moved.
Second.
Weissel,
Yes.
Duchess,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Motion to approve Phase 1 of asbestos abatement as presented.
So moved.
I was kind of hoping we'd have a little discussion on
Oh,
this.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, you
I have some-
second it, and then we have discussion. Did I get a second? Okay. Now we have discussion.
The bid that we received on this, is that the only bid that came back to us, or?
So, this is a great topic. So, Ideal Environmental is the environmental firm that we have been using to regulate our asbestos, how we handle it, what we do with it, and so what Ideal Engineers then do is they take care of the design on this, so they will write up all the formal bid specs for it. They will do all of the bid work, meaning that they will, after they write up the bids, they will advertise bids, they will make sure that we get, multiple quality bidders to the project. Then once they set down a timeline for the removal, then they will be on site to make sure that all the rules are being followed. So the only thing that we're really approving tonight is that Ideal portion, Ideal meaning the name of the firm, not that it's absolutely perfect, the Ideal environmental portion of getting them and getting their ball rolling, because this bid process needs to go out sooner rather than later. In order for us to be able to pull this off, that removal needs to take place fairly early in June. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to, we want to be able to be first on people's calendars. And so we can set that in place. So the actual dollar amount of what the asbestos removal is going to cost, what we've been provided by Ideal is an estimate, okay? We won't know what that is until Ideal goes to bid, gets those bids in, and then they'll bring that back to us. So we're not committing tonight to, spending $300,000 on an asbestos removal bid because we don't know what that is. Ideal will go through all of that process. That's just a piece of what they do. But until the board formally engages them, they can't get to work.
So they're, let me just quote this.
Yeah.
I've been looking at it for a day now. So they're $61,000 for their engineering services on A and area 1 and 2.
I think phase 2 is 46.
No, it says area 1 and 2 right here for 61.
Right, so what we're doing is is just, I think it's area 1, I don't have it in front of me. Is area 1, which is basically where you have the tight plaster ceiling. So it's the freshman wing and down here. So it's of the 3 phases, it's the most expensive of the 3 because of the type of asbestos.
And that's option 2.
Oh, option 2, yep, there you go.
So was it not possible to
Which
get
is
extra
area 1.
bids or open the bids for the engineering company?
So the engineering company itself, that $46,000, there are a few other companies that do it, but in all honesty, I have trust and experience with Ideal, and asbestos is the type of nebulous work that an environmental company can, once you have them in your building, they can make you do as much or little as they say because they're the experts. And quite frankly, I don't want to go down a path where we're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and me not have any personal experience with that firm. We had Ideal in to do the cleanup on this freshman wing when we had that new roof put on. And they were able to chart us a path where that cleanup was, it was like $6,000. It could have been 5 times that in a heartbeat. but they came in, walked through and said, yeah, you know, if you wanted to tent all this and X, Y, and Z and, you know, but what you know, they have a very common sense approach to it. They still follow the letter of the law, but you can run into people in this line of work where they're gonna create work for themselves, because once they're in your building, they're the expert. I know, and not only do I know from experience, just since we've been here in the last 12 months, that Ideal is not gonna do that to us. And so to me, that their $46,000 fee for, like I said, designing the project, doing all the bid work, and then monitoring the project once the people are on site in June.
It's not 46,000, it's 46,000 for phase one.
Right. Correct. Correct.
Area one,
Area
right?
one.
Area one,
Area one.
option two.
But that's not gonna do anything, there's no work involved in that, it's just the underlying work, correct? It's like the engineering, but nothing's gonna be picked up or.
They will coordinate the bid process in their work that they had. They were estimating that would be $216,000 was their estimate on the actual abatement.
And they came out and they looked at everything and.
They've been on site several times, yes.
Can you clarify that the underlying engineering services for Area 1, $46,000? They're gonna perform that now. Then in addition to that, we are going to use them as our contractor, again, for option 2, in the cost of $216,000.
No, we will not be using them. They will coordinate who we use.
Okay, so the 46 includes the pre-engineering as
Yep.
well as managing the process.
The bid, not only the bid process,
But the execution.
removal process.
Right.
And the removal process involves constant air quality sampling.
Right, contract, air sampling professional, so all the way through to completion. However, it's not, they will not be doing the work, they will have the firm, manage the firm, well, the process to select the firm as well as the firm doing the work.
Overseeing the firm, yes.
Correct.
And this is just taking it out. In the building committee in December, we'll talk about what it looks like going back in.
So this is taking the asbestos out, not putting down the new seating tiles back up?
No, this is just the.
This is just the removal.
Okay. I talked to a guy today, the AMVets here in town is having their asbestos removed. And he had a meeting today with one of the guys from, he's actually from Park Ridge, but he does a lot of work for Chicago Public Schools. And that was his main question. Are we looking for somebody just to come in and remove it and have somebody else come in and fix everything? I wasn't quite sure of that. But when he bid something, he doesn't have a $40,000 fee to general, basically everything. He gives you a fee of $100,000, and that's his fee. Doesn't charge you. So all I'm trying to say is I think we should probably look at different options, especially if he specializes in schools. That's his, he's only coming down here for the AMVET because he knows the commander or something like that and doing a favor, basically. So, I just thought we'd look at different options.
I understand what you're saying. My point is that I think it's really important to have somebody in here that we have experience with. I really think it's important to know what we're gonna get, and I know this person you're talking about, I don't know him from Adam. And we're talking about a health safety issue.
Right.
And you're talking about the person who would actually be doing the work.
Correct.
Right, and so.
So he could bid
Right, so that person
into-
most certainly.
he can bid
Most certainly.
He would
into
come in
this
here-
project, for
He
sure.
would come in here and look and give you a bid and
Right.
do the project.
Right.
That's what he's doing at the ambulance right now.
Exactly.
But
So
then
he could be
well,
part of that.
He would have to be part of the bidding process, yes.
Right.
Exactly.
But he's not charging $46,000 for,
Correct.
I'm not sure what would, that seems like a lot of money just
And
to,
I'm not saying we have to use this guy. All
Yeah.
I'm trying to say is, let's look at his credentials.
Could the
He may be-
assessment
He might be a rock
abatement-
star. He may have done 100 different schools in Chicago and have a perfect rating. I don't know.
Let's quote, they all have to be licensed by the state.
He is licensed by the
Right,
state.
no, I mean that, no, Paul, no pun, but you have to be licensed, yeah, and a lot of guys ain't gonna, if they got a reputable business. I'm not saying this guy, I don't know this guy.
Neither do I.
Right.
I'm just saying we just need to look at other
Right,
options.
exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. You know, more than one bid, you know, what I mean, because these, you know, they all gotta do the work to the to quality, or they'll lose their license when it comes to that.
Right. I guess the point I want to reiterate is, I think it's important to use someone that we have experience with, because we want to make sure that they're not creating extra work.
Well, I think you're looking for a general contractor to
Right.
oversee the work.
Exactly.
And we're not looking for a general contractor. Paul's trying to eliminate that. So what is ideal scope of responsibility? Something goes south on the project, what do they do? Just be like, hey, you gotta do this to fix it, or what do they do?
So, not only are they going to design the project ahead of time, and it's just that. It's to know exactly what needs to be done and what doesn't. Because we don't know that. I mean, we're school people, you know, and even our architects don't have that level of, specific knowledge. So they design the project to know exactly what needs to be removed. And then they coordinate all of the bidding process, and then they oversee the process once it's being done. Because if you're, if the people who are doing the removal are also doing the oversight, how do you know that things get done the way they're
If
supposed
it's
to be done?
possible, ideal, we'll hire this guy to do the removal.
100%.
Yep.
That is exactly right.
But then Ideal, as an engineering environmental firm, will be doing all the air test qualities.
Right.
Well, he said he does this too. He
Yeah,
said he has to
you
do
know
it,
what I mean. And double checking this company, you're saying.
Exactly.
And I think I view them as, the experts on the ground through the process. As Mr. Cox said, we don't have an environmental engineer on staff to manage this and understand the risk. If something does come up, you don't want the contractor to then have to communicate with our leadership, who we would have to then make decisions and wouldn't be an environmental expert. So in that way, I think we're also using them, as that independent expert that we can rely on.
So basically
It's
looking
at
at
a
a
cost, of course, but
$100,000 insurance policy, basically what we're looking at.
Well, what is their limit of liability? What do they do besides tell us how to do it? If something goes south, are they standing behind it, or are we on the hook for all that?
So,
Because it's their design, their plan, we're just kind of agreeing to what they're.
well,
wanna do.
if it's their design and their plan and we follow it and something goes south, then yes, they have, then that's.
It's on them.
And it's not like we're getting painting quotes, like this is some serious stuff that we need to make sure that we are
That's
not
correct.
endangering anyone.
That's correct. And, if we don't have somebody with some sort of expertise, if we would have, for example, I come back to this, when we did have some some fiber release this summer in the freshman wing with our roof project, there were spots that were just plaster, and that we didn't have to go through the expense of cleaning up, and they were able to tell that. And we trusted them to do that. If I would have just called somebody to just generally clean up, we would have cleaned it all up. And so it's the ability to know what you're looking for, and be able to move forward. And that's something that we don't possess.
What type of project did you work with them on
Well, they've done all of our air quality
here?
since I've been here.
Okay.
I've done in the previous jobs, I've done asbestos abatement with them.
You have, okay.
And
I didn't know
then-
if they did
and then
any
the
other
exact-
realm of environmental.
And in the exact same capacity, that they went out and they're the ones who got the bids. They're the ones that did the oversight, they did the air quality. In a previous job, we actually had to close school for a day because we had mold in the building. And they were the ones walking through saying, this is what you need to do, this is the path forward, this is, and so.
And they're gonna know where to advertise for bids and the reputation of the companies.
I mean, overall, I think we've got a lot of priorities this year, and this is one of them. And, you know, we need to put some money forward as part of the project, unfortunately. And it's, I mean, this is a health issue that we've had, that we've had to remediate. And this is just one step in this process. As we know, we have other areas that we also have to tackle.
If we did approve this, would this come out of this year's budget, or?
Yeah, I mean, these are some of the design fees that we've tried to build into this year's budget, yes. Because then the board would, in earnest, make the commitment to this when those bids come out. That's when, I know $46,000 is a lot of money, but that's when the extra zero starts coming in.
Right, I mean, they gave us a look of what that looks like here, is you're talking about, for the work to be done, you're looking at a $250,000 project, in my opinion, just based on the scope of work included in this bid.
Just the removal.
Just the removal.
Just half of the project.
For area one. And what was area one again? Area one
Is that on the map?
There's a map. Basically the freshman hallway, and then this hallway up towards the cafeteria.
And then this hallway and that hallway?
Then what, hire another general to, we have everything that they took out from the asbestos?
So we will meet in December as a building committee to have that conversation. I know that our architect has been, on site to take a look at what that work looks like and what work needs to be done in conjunction with our health, life, safety evaluation that we've just gone through, how all of that ties together. So that'll be a December committee meeting, and I would assume we'll have another conversation like this before board in December.
Just want to make a quick, I think everybody on this board here knows that we have to get it removed. I mean, so, so I know we have to, but, I can understand where Paul's going with the middleman. I understand you.
Now, in the minutes, I was looking back and it said that you were gonna use BDLL, have them involved in the asbestos project?
So our architectural firm that just did our 10-year audit, they will be at the December Building and Grounds Committee meeting to talk about what this summer work looks like, yes.
And to your point about this is not the replacement of it, that will happen, it will have to happen before school starts.
Yes.
So, from a commitment standpoint, as we move forward, we're committing to a minimum potentially of $250,000 here, plus.
Maybe another.
Correct.
Maybe another.
To add that, so keep that in mind in the grand scheme of things.
Can't do half of
That would,
No.
just the removal part alone, with probably the other expenses, would essentially eat up our budget commitment this year. And then anything in addition to that would be reserve dollars.
I was gonna start like a shared document with a tab of what was coming out of the reserves. So I haven't started anything yet because I'm not talking about fixed costs, I'm talking about projects. So I'm gonna keep I'll share it with all of you, but I haven't started because we haven't done any yet, starting forward. But it was my idea a couple days ago that I would do that. So we can keep a track, some sort of track of what's going on here. Because there's too much just, well, we did this and we did that. I just want to keep track of, okay, so this would come out of the, so this 46 is not coming out of the reserves.
As of today, as
It is
of where
not
we
coming out of the
stand.
reserves. Right, no, it's not. You just said it wasn't, it's in the budget.
Right.
So we don't change it 3 months from now and say it came out of reserves. So something else might, but it's in the budget.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so we know what we're voting for. This is for the engineering firm. Any other
For
questions?
option 2,
For option 2.
area 1.
It's one of the best the scope is presented.
Okay,
Okay, so we had Ron motioned and Liz second. Roll call Duchess.
Oh, wait, we did motion.
we did, yes.
At the beginning of the
Oh,
discussion.
We did it before discussion.
Correct, sorry.
So Duchess,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Goldberg,
No.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
So I just wanted to make sure that everybody recognized, we got a little gift for you on your station there. It's what, Friday
Friday.
is Board Member Appreciation Day. Trust me, I've been at this game a long time. What you do is a thankless job, and we very much appreciate you putting in the time, coming to meetings, trying to do what you feel is in the best interest of not only the community, but also the students and the staff here. And so we very much appreciate what you do. Thank you.
And who wrote the article on the Beach 200? Was that you? Marla?
Pardon me?
Was that, who wrote the article on the Beach 200? You?
On the post?
Yeah, in the post.
The Facebook post.
Yeah, this one. You? Great job.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you all for your partnership, and thank your teams as well.
Any other items? Next board meeting will be December 9th. Same time, same place.
Did you guys say something about a open to, or a public hearing? When is that?
Yes.
Before,
Just be right.
prior to the
We don't have it scheduled yet?
It'll be
Before the meeting.
just
Right
before
before the
next-
meeting, thank you.
So at 6.
Okay,
At 6.
okay.
And upcoming dates, chamber meeting November 18th at 7, and the school board convention, IASB, November 21 through the 23rd. I believe they can still register if they want. So if anyone's interested in the convention downtown, Hyatt, is it?
No promises on us being able to find you.
I was at a hotel, so it wasn't
Hey,
easy
Mr.
as
Cox, there's one on school safety at the thing. I thought maybe our SRO maybe could look at, which would, about the Columbine.
Yeah, there were a couple
Yeah,
good ones.
yeah.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. Huh?